Good afternoon. It is June 20th, and I'm going to be doing a drive with FSD Beta 10.12.2 from my house here in Northeast Minneapolis to the gym I go to, which is in St. Paul, Minnesota. This is my first FSD Beta video in a few months. I had sold my previous Model 3, and then I bought my new Model 3 in March, and have been waiting ever since to get added back into FSD Beta, which happened earlier this month. So I've been doing some testing, just haven't gotten around to making more videos. So hope to kind of get back to that here in the next few weeks, and then obviously expect to see future videos with every subsequent release after that. So again, I've noticed some good progress so far in my testing with FSD Beta. I'll be highlighting that over the next few videos of where I see noticeable improvements. There's been some other areas where I've seen some regressions as well, but I mean overall this release continues to be pretty darn solid, and I'm happy with what I've seen so far. But I'll be narrating along the way as I did previously, so without further ado, let's go for a drive and really see how it does along this route. So one thing I just want to call out here that's new is you saw that it did signal when it was getting onto the road here. It had never done that in prior builds. And I'll be honest, this is the very first time I've engaged FSD from my driveway. I usually engage it from the street here. So very interesting behavior there that we have not seen. And again, I missed 10.11. I was not a part of the program during that release. So the last experience I have with FSD Beta directly anyways is 10.10.2. So this intersection, if you recall, has been a problem point for FSD. It overly hesitates, and it looks like that same behavior, unfortunately, is still there. It looks like it does eventually go, but like I said before, it's a little too slow there. I'm not sure why it gets hung up, but I'll continue to, press the report button on that. So this intersection has been a problem for FSD for pretty much all the builds that I've tested, which is all the 10.x builds. And I would assume 10.11 would have been the same, just because 10.12 so far at this intersection's had a bit of trouble. So the scenario really is we have the crosswalk is really closer to us than normal. The stop line's actually right here. So you can see it takes a wide sweeping line, and then it wants to really cut in. So again, I had to take over there. Again, the behavior is just a bit goofy, and I've noticed this on that same road, going the opposite way. The car does the exact same thing, where it basically just, again, takes a way swooping wide line to the right, goes way to the right, and then it decides the last second it wants to cut in. And it never seems to do a good job of yielding for oncoming traffic there, and I'm not so sure why. The visibility is pretty good, right? So, a continued pain point for FSD. Hopefully we'll see some improvements in, another release, but so far it seems to be a continued problem. And then this spot here, it previously would say creeping for visibility in previous builds. And for the most part now, it proceeds without issue. And I've went through that intersection probably about 10 times or so far with FSD Beta 10.12.2. And every single time it seems to go through that area without issue. So I reported that one a bunch, so I'm really happy to see that there's been some progress, because if there was cars behind us, even if there was nothing in front of us, the car would always overly hesitate, which was really annoying for everybody around us. So, man, as soon as they add a pothole avoidance feature, Minnesotans will be all over that, because we have a lot of them here. This road, I've complained a bunch. They just filled these potholes in last week, so hopefully I don't have to do as much, disengagement for those reasons as before. All right, and great job with this busy four-way stop here. This one's always been a problem, really, for FSD. And so far in this release, it seems to do a really good job with it. I believe I saw in 10.10.2, it would sometimes overly hesitate there and then wait for surrounding cars to go, or would try to enter the intersection when it wasn't supposed to. I have had zero issues with it being unconfident or not confident during that intersection. So, you know, again, good stuff from 10.12.2 so far. So you see the car is getting kind of confused here. And this has been a similar issue. If you look up at the visuals here, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's trying to basically say it wants to get over to the right lane, when in reality, as you can see ahead of us, we just got to go straight and stay in the middle. This has been a common pain point for FSD beta in previous builds. I'm going to cancel the lane change and see if it figures it out here, but let's see, nobody's behind us, so I'm going to let it do its thing here, and hopefully it figures it out. So it did figure out the issue, but man, if there were people behind us, they would have surely gotten confused there. So one thing you'll notice the car just did, it says it made the lane change to follow the route, but as you can see here, both lanes go straight. And this is mostly a turn lane, so if we're trying to obviously take the quickest route possible here, we would have stayed to the left and just went straight that way. So I'm going to report that. Again, they changed this intersection up a few years ago, and I don't believe the maps, whatever they're using as a map source, seems to still be incorrect, because it does get confused around here quite a bit. So a little close to the right curve here. I just took over, but I don't think I needed to be honest with you. So and again, you know, some interesting choices when it comes to lane selection. I'm not quite certain why it got over to the left so late in that turn. People come around that corner pretty fast, and that could have surprised some people. So I'm not quite certain why it did that. You know, overall, I'd say also, you know, these tracks aren't super busy anymore, but, you know, if I was the car, I would move up. There is definitely a space enough for a car up there, but I guess you'd kind of be crossing the crosswalk, so that could be debatable on whether this is the correct move or not. I think it might confuse some drivers, though, behind us, that we didn't pull up far enough. But, you know, so, again, I wouldn't count that last disengagement. I was a little tight on the wheel there, just because, again, I'm nervous with my new wheels. But we would have been fine. It's just, I wish the car would have stayed in that left lane, and we would never have been close to that curve from the get-go. So, again, the car hit the brakes for whatever reason, and then now I'm taking over here. It did not do a good job there of staying to the left. We're in the left turn lane, we got to stay in that lane. And I have noticed this across a few of the builds, and more so in this, I would say this build. Disengagement of the wheel there, should have reported that to Tesla, but just in case. Again, if it was going to stay in the right lane, then go in the right turn lane, right? Seems pretty straightforward, but turning left still is kind of a crapshoot of what you're going to get from FSD beta. No, we got an obstacle up here. Let's see if it gets over. Awesome. So great stuff there. There's a little bit of road work going on here, which we can't obviously always work around. So the car did a fantastic job of detecting the cones and routing around them and being courteous with the signal and getting over early. So good stuff there. And then up here we have a stoplight here that's out of order due to some construction. So should treat this as a four-way stop. We'll see what it does here. This person up here is turning. He's waving me through, so I'm going to just hit the accelerator here. All right, so we have a nice right turn here. this intersection FSD in previous builds has been pretty darn good at. One area of concern that it's had, we usually have a lot of traffic to our left here, so turning on red is usually impossible during this time of day. So again, we'll kind of keep an eye on traffic here to our left, but in the past it's been pretty confident. So after we make this turn to the right, there is a line that sometimes, there's a bus stop here actually, and FSD in the past will incorrectly go into the bus lane and then get kind of confused. As of 10.10.2, it did catch itself and fix that issue. In previous builds before that, it would go into the bike lane or bus lane, and then from there, so here, let's see if it does it here. So again, we're really close to the curb, and you can see here, it literally thinks this is a lane of travel, so I'm gonna take over here. Nobody was behind us, so not really an issue there, but again, it seems like there's been a regression there. That issue wasn't really there in 10.10.2, and as you can see, the car enters it thinking it's a normal lane, which it's not. And there's a few other places where it did that before, so I'll be doing some other drives to confirm whether or not that behavior is a problem across the board and back and as it was before, or if it's just this one area where it struggles with. But not good either way, and again, it results in our legitimate second disengagement of this trip so far. So still a lot of work to be done here with FSD beta, at least around the Twin Cities. The car did a fantastic job there yielding for this pedestrian here. Traffic was slowed behind us here, so I'm just going to press the accelerator as I kind of still want to wait for that person to completely cross. But excellent job. If there's any ever concerns about FSD beta being uncontrollable or super unsafe to people around, especially people like vulnerable road users like bicyclists, for example, or pedestrians, I think it's a load of rubbish. Obviously you should be paying attention when you're testing stuff like this, and should not be abusing that. But as you can see there, there's a lot of safety built into this software as it sits today. So it's a good demonstration of, again, how safe it is in its current state. It's not perfect. We've obviously already highlighted some areas of concern that need to be adjusted and fixed, but again, the software isn't a complete piece of garbage. There's a lot of good things that it's doing today that should be applauded. So So like right here, for example, it looks like it was going to turn into that turn lane there. That's too early. So I'm going to report that. That's wrong. And I've seen that, through every build. And I'm not sure really how we fix that, right? Because, the map data is correct. The car wants to go up this intersection, at least on the navigation screen it does. But then it seems to want to jump the gun, almost as if it doesn't trust its location GPS-wise or whatever. So I'm not really sure. Maybe this is something that they'll definitely address in 10.13, which, if so, is going to solve most of my issues with FSD beta, minus a few areas. So we'll see what they got in store for us with that build coming up here. Alright, so I'm going to take over here. For whatever reason, the car did not want to follow this car, and as you can see, Planner is trying to go around it, and it has a tough time sometimes figuring out, and this is a great example of where to position itself. In reality, we should just be following this car in front of us, and we can obviously look at the lines as a clue. So you can see there's a bit of an interesting behavior going on. It's super confused right now. You can see the wheel jerking, the brakes, going in and out. It's definitely confused. Once cars start moving here, I bet you it will be fine, but regardless, I'm going to report that. It's pretty goofy. But as you see, once we start going, it's super confident. So some work needs to be done with that. Alright, great job with that left turn. That turn had been a problem for us a few builds back. It had repeatedly tried to actually go into the oncoming lane, which obviously didn't let it do. but it's something that's been a problem. It looks like they have since addressed that issue. Every time I had that scenario, I disengaged via the wheel and did a report after, so that seems to have resolved that issue in this new build. Now, I'm not sure why we're signaling here. This isn't really a lane. It's really, as you can see, the lines coming in. So the car figured it out, but nonetheless, something that it shouldn't have done. So, and it should know better based upon map data as another source of truth. All right, so this spot here has been a problem for us in the past. You can see that it's really 2 lanes, but the car sometimes sticks out to the left a little too wide, or I'm sorry, to the right a bit too much. So here we have a car to our right, so I don't think it had a choice there. Let's see what it does here. If it's gonna actually go or not. Let's see, it's kind of a blind corner, so we kind of inched out and went. I will have to say that was super impressive. I was ready to react if I saw a car coming there, but it did a great job of, I think, being properly assertive, because that's a really busy intersection. If you get stuck there, you'd be there for a half hour. It's an exaggeration, but you'd be there for quite a while. So that was pretty darn good, to be honest with you. I would love to test that same exit ramp and see if the car positioned itself in the same spot without a car to our right. In reality, it should, but in previous builds, I'd seen it not do that. So we'll have to either test that again here and in the same build, or we'll have to look for that in the next release and hopefully get a different circumstance there. Alright, so a bit of a monkey wrench has been thrown into our test here. This road ahead looks to be closed for construction, which unfortunately in Minnesota is always fun, which means half our roads get shut down every summer. So we'll have to see where this routes us. I'm not sure what it's going to do here. I'm just going to let it figure itself out. Let's see, what are you going to do? It looks like I'm going to have to take over. So we're going to go around this. I'm going to fast forward until the part where we get back on the road up here. Alright, so we are back on the road we were trying to cross. We had a little bit of a detour we had to take, so I just drove that manually. And yeah, this should be very similar to the route that we had in previous videos from here on out. So that was just I don't know, maybe a quarter mile of road that we had to kind of navigate around. So one issue that we just proved is fixed there. The car would, for whatever reason, slow down back there, and it would want to come to a complete stop for no reason. It wouldn't be indicated on the screen. There'd be no stop sign visualized or anything like that. There'd be no people around, and yet it would do that every single time. As you can see there, the car confidently proceeded through it as if nothing's there, because obviously there is nothing. So I'm not sure if that was map related or what, but yeah, it kept thinking like it was a stop sign or something there, which maybe there was in the past, but that hasn't been there for a few years. So, and sorry about that. The camera seemed to overheat. It's a hot day today, and my battery's a little low on this thing, so I'm not sure if that affects it or not, but hopefully this will hold out for the next few minutes here. We're almost to our destination, so kind of weird behavior there. I'm definitely going to report that. It's picking up this seam in the road here as a road line, even though there is a clearly painted road line there. Alright, so this intersection here is still a problem, and you can see exactly why. The car so a lot of overheating issues here. Not sure why, but the air conditioning's on and everything, so we'll see what it does here. So minus the behavior, I'm going to have to give the car a little throttle input here. It's a bit erratic. So you can see there what the car does too. After we make the turn, it just kind of hammers the throttle for whatever reason, which in my opinion is completely unnecessary. So anyways, we're at our destination now. I'll have some notes that I'm going to summarize after this drive that I'll be posting with the video. So stay tuned for that.